Welcome to Eco Chats. Today I'm joined by Waris Ahluwalia. Waris will tell you that he does not pigeonhole himself into any of the descriptors I'm about to give him, but nonetheless, Waris is the founder of House of Waris Botanicals. He is an actor, he is a designer, he is an advocate for elephant conservation, and a world-renowned traveler. One thing we did agree on when it came to his profession is that he is a phenomenal storyteller, and Waris told so many stories that we had to turn this into a three-part series. So welcome to part one of my conversation with Waris. First, I want to talk about sort of who you are. When I sort of look at your work, I see a storyteller. Is that fair? Do you think of yourself that way? And I'm wondering if you're a storyteller across these various mediums, what is the story that you're telling?
So you want to start with the big questions first?
just the little ones.
Just sort of the life agonizing questions first.
Yeah,
Let's just bang those out.
Just the meaning of life. If you
Yeah,
could tell us
before we start talking about my sign and my favorite colors, let's just go with the big ones first. What is the story you're trying to tell in your life? That's a wait, how much time did you say we had on this?
You got 30 seconds to tell me the story of your life.
Well, hello, first of all, and thank you for having me on here. And hello to all your wonderful followers and listeners and audience. So yes, I think you nailed it. I don't. I try not to put any sort of label. I'm not concerned with a box to fit in. As you've listed off, there's plenty of things I've taken on, and so it's, if someone wants to call me an actor, I'm like, great, I'm an actor. A designer, great. Whatever it is that like makes you feel comfortable as as the audience is like, that's who I am. I'm not, whatever it makes, whatever pleases you. But the thing that would tie it all together is storyteller. That's the thing that brings it all together. And I've always said, I'm not overly concerned with the medium. I'm just active and doing stuff and making stuff and creating stuff because that's my like work. That just to keep making. I don't have a choice. It's like I want to keep making because I kind of like I can't stop. That's fair enough. I think we're all recovering, trying to figure it out, people. So when, sustainability is something that you and I have spoken about. I think, speaking of big question marks in the world, there's a lot of definitions of sustainability, and this sort of broad, it encompasses so many things. For so many people, it's a different definition and how they apply it to their life. How is that something that you think about in your day-to-day life, in your work life? How is that something that informs how you show up? That word is a beautiful word, right? It's a word that's being used a lot, and it's been and we could say it's being overused. And I think to a more recent time, right before the shutdown, month or 2 months or something like that, I was at a conference that was about fashion and sustainability, and before I was on the panel, and before we went on the stage, the moderator said, think about another word for sustainability. Like, as in not like an hour before we went on stage, it was, and then walk on stage. And she, like, I was like, oh, wait a second, hold on. You just asked a really good question. And seconds before we go on stage. But the word came to me, and I said it's an overused word, right? It's a word that often companies like to greenwash with. It's misused. It's overused. Everything is sustainable now. In the plastics, there's sustainable plastics, which, right? There's sustainable materials, and everything is sustainable. So if everything is sustainable, then there should be no problem. But there obviously is a problem. And so the word that came to mind was that I feel like we should be focusing more on is balance.
Mm.
We're a people that are off balance. And that's why we're focused on this race to sustainability. By that I mean we've found ourselves at a place and at a time where we've completely, and everyone's obviously at a different place with this, but we're disconnected from nature. Now, I was never good at necessarily logic or math class, but if we're disconnected with nature, and which it means we're disconnected with ourselves, and this is a constant. We live at a time where more people have social anxiety, sleep disorders, digestive issues, and the list goes up. And that all falls under a category that the UN and the World Health Organization call the 21st century epidemic. And I know we're all focused on a pandemic right now, but when that goes away, this thing will still be there, and that's stress. And so out of balance is because we're stressed, and it doesn't matter whether you live in a city or you live in rural, or it's run rampant, and it's all over the world. So it's no longer just for urban environments or cities, and it's no longer just there and people outside don't have stress. Everyone's stressed. And so that means out of balance. That means struggling to find a way to get back into balance. And so if we're disconnected with nature, that means we're disconnected with ourselves, because we are nature. We are a part of nature, but we've spent so much time and effort and energy pulling ourselves back from nature and pulling ourselves apart from nature, and separating ourselves. So we're losing our lungs, the Amazon and forest deforestation. We're losing the life in the sea. We're being poisoned. We're poisoning the fish that are in turn poisoning us. And we eat fish, and like you're eating health, there's no escape. It's once the system is out of balance, there's no escape, because every which way you go, you're gonna come up against it.
And I like something you added for me that I haven't thought about as much, is sort of, I always think of this idea of sustainability or balance, which I love from you, with my relationship with the outside world, with my community, or with the wildlife, with the planet. But this idea of also balance within yourself being part of the equation, I think, is an interesting addition to that, because there is, speaking of stress, there's this frenetic stress that we live with, but also that we bring to our concern for the environment, and that can sort of all build upon each other, and you can be left feeling hopeless and helpless. And so this idea of also looking within, I think, isn't something that I haven't fully thought about as part of this balance or sustainability or whatever we call it. And I think that's interesting.